All right, then. How's everyone doing out there? Welcome back to OTC Live. Your host, I am Bill. Chris is not here. I do not know if he'll be joining us today. Chris started his new job beginning of this week, and he's still kind of feeling his schedule out. I told him to give me a call, let me know what was going on. I did not hear from him, so I can only assume that he's getting things figured out. Not a big deal. I've got audio coming from 3 different places here. How do I mute this? Hang on. There. That's muted now. That was probably coming through 12 different places. Anyway, yeah. So he started his new job this week. He's got a different schedule than he's really worked in a while. So he's doing a lot more nights. So he's got to get the sleeping figured out and all of that stuff. So cut him some slack this week. I normally would give him a hard time. Not going to do that this week. So really just kind of a catch up here. We were off from live broadcast last week. Well, not really, though, because we did the top 20 albums of 2020 episodes, which is available on our Patreon. I'll get to that momentarily. But we did not do our regular live broadcast this week. Last week, I do hope that everyone had a good holiday, as best to be expected, I suppose. Good to see our good buddy Joe's hanging out with us. If anyone else is in the chat, make sure you say hi. For me, holiday was fine. It was fine. Christmas was good. It is the first time in my entire life, though, that I have spent Christmas without my parents. So that was a little weird. We did get to see them very briefly on Christmas Eve. We dropped off some presents. They gave Travis his presents, and did mask covered inside for the house for just a few seconds. Dustin, yes, man. Dustin, who does a podcast, which I can't remember the name of offhand. I'm going to be on his podcast beginning of February. So, yeah, we're good to go, man. Just send me all the information. Christmas was weird. It was weird. But, it is what it is. We keep looking at that light at the end of the tunnel as I look at my TV that's in front of me where the Senate is doing the debates on the objections to the election. I can't believe that this is still a thing, apparently, but it is a weird world that we live in. But again, hopefully light at the end of the tunnel. I did find it pretty humorous how much everybody was like, oh, F20. And it's funny because I've got this mighty fine baseball cap here. This says the FU 2020 from my friends over at Knocking Point. Knocking Point is they started as a wine uh um club monthly distribution thing, but they launched a coffee one last year or maybe a couple years ago, but uh it's run by Steve Amell, that many of you will remember from Arrow. He was Arrow in the DC universe, but it's his company. But they do a coffee club monthly that Mel got me for Christmas last year, and that was the FU 2020 baseball cap was the bonus gift with the 2 pounds of coffee that I got today. So it's cool. It's a good company. Check them out over at Knocking Point. Yeah. So I'm gonna be a little all over the place today. So if you guys got questions in the chat, hit me with your questions. Like I said, Chris is in all likelihood out today. No big deal. We don't need to hang out for the full 90 minutes, although I could probably fill the full 90 minutes with just talking. But yeah, so Christmas was good. I'm not a New Year's guy at all. I don't go out on New Year's. I don't, even when it's totally fine to go out on New Year's, we stay home. The idea of a holiday that really just celebrates getting drunk just does not make any sense to me. But hey, whatever. To each his own. If that's what you're into, if that's what you're into. Joe has a question. He says, "Why does it burn when I O or pee rather?" I mean, that's a personal question you're going to probably need to take up with whoever you share your genital area with, because that's definitely an issue that I can't help you with, other than say, "Hey, stay strong, buddy." But yeah. So also, we've been cramming movies for a best of 2020 list. You know, it's funny trying to cram movies and figure out what to watch and what not to watch. You run into this every year where you're trying to, try to get as much stuff in as possible. Like I still have to watch Tenet. I still have to watch Soul. I did watch Wonder Woman 84, which it was good. It wasn't great. I think we'll talk more about that probably at some point when we do a top 10 list. Actually, maybe we won't. I don't know if it'll make the list or not. It was fine. Reverend Scott sent in a review for this week's show that's up on the Patreon or will be available in the feed tomorrow. But it was fine. I agree with some of the points he made. He talked a lot about how it's supposed to be 1984, but it's like only 1984 when they absolutely needed to be 1984. So it was fine. But like trying to cram things in, yeah, like Tenet, Soul. God, I still haven't watched The Mandalorian. I did Scooter. I did see Possessor. That was actually one of the ones I was going to bring up. One of the ones that I made sure to cram in was David Cronenberg's kid. Made this movie Possessor. He's done some other stuff, but this is like the first thing that he's done I feel that really has gotten any type of legs. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I thought it was it felt fresh, even though it was kind of retreading some things that even his dad did. I thought it was kind of I mean, humorous is really not the word to probably use, but interesting that he really leaned into what his dad does, which is interesting because obviously nobody does body horror better than Cronenberg, with the exception of maybe Lynch, but I feel like both of them are on that same boat or on that same level, not necessarily on the same boat, but it's the type of thing where sorry, I got a text on my thing. I was curious if it was Chris, but yeah, Possessor is great. It'll definitely be on the list, I feel. But again, I didn't really watch a lot of new stuff this year. So like Possessor was one that was on my short list. Tenet is on there only because I usually will always watch Nolan stuff. Man, I got a bunch of stuff that I'm still trying to get my way through, and it's just a matter of like, it's strange because I've gotten so much work come through in the last like couple weeks, and it was like January, whatever Monday was, the 3rd, 4th, 3rd, and we have music videos on tap, we have a instructional series on tap, we also have Don't Forget to Leave on tap that we've been trying to work on. Things are hitting right now for OTC Industries. We got a ton of stuff. We got some corporate work coming through. So like in the couple years, I mean, I've only really technically been working for myself now for like 2 years, like no, maybe not even barely 2 years. January 2020, OTC Industries became an LLC, and like my job became, head of this production company. So, for those first 6 months or so of that first year, I had, a lot more time, in terms of like, you'd send out 100 emails to people, you do this, but there was time. Now I feel like I don't even have time to do anything. And then also, obviously, still being in the middle of a pandemic, we have Travis home for a large chunk of time during the day. He only, even on the days that he does go to school, he only goes for 2.5 hours or so in the morning, and then he's home for a good chunk of the day. Mel's still working, so fitting movies in, it's like I have to schedule them into my work day to actually fit them in. But yes, I loved Possessor. I thought Possessor was great. Wonder Woman 84 was good. I don't think it was great. It was definitely too long. I think I liked the way it looked. I liked the characters. I thought, although I feel like Cheetah was kind of a waste. Kristen Wiig, I enjoyed her part in it, but it was a character that I think deserved more. Also, a character that we've seen many times in many other superhero movies, of the like, oh, nobody likes me, and I'm introverted and I'm weird around people. Now you all have to pay, and it's like we've seen it. And the Cheetah character from the comics is very different than that. So I don't know. But yeah, so Possessor, great. Wonder Woman 84, okay. You know what? Just let me get the list out here of the stuff that I've been trying to cram in. Definitely, again, I went hard on documentaries and documentary series this past year. I watched a documentary on Amazon yesterday. Oh, Survival of the Film Freaks, available on Tubi. I mentioned that. Right now, you can go to Tubi, which is a great site. It's free. It is ad supported, so it's not a situation where you get to see everything ads free. But Tubi's got so much stuff on it, and Survival of the Film Freaks is now available there. Found that out late last night, so that's awesome. You can see right there a picture of Andrea Wolanin, not the one I would have chose to feature, but it is what it is. But yeah, you can watch the whole movie there on Tubi, free of charge. It is minor ad supported. That's awesome. Having a film on Tubi is really cool. I mean, it's been on Amazon for a while, and I also believe that Tubi's available outside of the United States, so you can check that out all over the place if you guys are listening. This movie I watched on Amazon last night, called Jasper Mall. Here is the artwork for it. And it's a documentary about a failing mall. It's that simple. Mall that's closing down. There's nobody coming in there. It's pretty good. It's quiet. It's simple. But definitely worth checking out. It's called Jasper Mall. I also watched Porno yesterday. Not a porno, but the film Porno, which is available on Shudder. I thought that was pretty good too. Would recommend that. That's available on Shudder. I don't know if that one's going to make the cut for the top 10 list, though. I got to think about that. Let's see here. Oh, there's a great, also on Tubi, is a great documentary on Nazi exploitation called Fascism. On a thread, the strange story of Nazi exploitation cinema. Again, if you liked Survival of the Film Freaks, you will like this film. Again, very simple, but they talk to a lot of interesting people. They talk to a lot of people that were involved in it, and they really kind of do a good job of laying out the history of Nazi exploitation, which I thought was pretty cool. A couple of you guys mentioned Jasper Mall. I don't really listen, Nelson. I don't really listen to the Doug Benson podcast very much. A couple times here and there I'll get it. So everyone was raving about Sound of Metal, which is available exclusively on Amazon Prime. I saw it show up on virtually, how do I get that straight? Virtually everybody's top 10 list. Really, really raving about it. So Of course, I didn't like it. No, that's not. I liked it. I thought it was pretty. I thought it was really good. I thought it was very well done. I don't think it's quite as good as everyone else was making it out to be. But Sound of Metal is the story of a heavy metal drummer who is losing his hearing, and there's nothing he can do about it. And it's essentially the story of him attempting to, save his hearing, save his career, save his life. He's a recovering addict. He's got a girlfriend that he's trying to work through things with. I think the most interesting thing for me was, if any of you guys have seen it, there's a couple scenes actually, filmed in the parking lot of Hollywood Hits, where we shot a bunch of B-roll for Survival of the Film Freaks that never actually made it into the final cut. But Chris used to work there. If you guys know Frank from Are You Serious used to work there. That was the off-brand theater. Outside the cinema as an entity, we also did a number of screenings there. We used to do my birthday screenings there. So we did a Chillerama screening there. We did a drive-in horror show screening there. We did a Madman screening there. And it's closed now. Like so many theaters, even if they had been able to survive the pandemic, they wouldn't have been able to survive the pandemic. But they did. So there's a couple shots of them from the parking lot there. So a large chunk of Sound of Metal is actually filmed, like literally, like very close to my house and Chris's house. There's a number of shots going up Route 1 in Saugus, Massachusetts, and we can pick out the stores. I enjoyed it, and I don't like being the kind of contrarian guy with movies where like everyone raves about something and I immediately don't like it, because I'm not like that normally. But it's kind of hard to not, and Chris is a good one for this. He doesn't get sucked into the hype on something and then immediately celebrate it or like immediately shit can it. He's smart. He just doesn't watch it for a while. He waits like a year and waits till everyone stops talking about something, and then he'll check it out. And I think maybe Sound of Metal would have performed better for me if I had done that, because I saw so many people that were just like, oh, this movie is so amazing. It hits all the right spots. It's, and it was great. Don't get me wrong. It was good. I liked it. I didn't love it. I think it could skirt that top 10 list. I got to kind of sit with it a little bit more. But it was good. It was good. It was an interesting look at something that you don't really get what you're expecting, if that makes any sense. Good performance in it, though, for sure. I think Riz Ahmed, who plays the main character in it, does a really good job. And it's an interesting watch, and it gets a recommend from me. I don't know if I was to letter grade it, it would probably be a B, a straight B. So I guess that's pretty good. Trying to see what else. So there was this other one that I watched that was it was a 2020 release in terms of that it was finally released here in the States in 2020. It played a bunch of, maybe not a bunch, but a handful of festivals back in like 2013, 2014. This flick here, Lord of Tears, it's got some cool imagery here with this weird owl guy that's in it. It's like a weird kind of urban legendy type thing. Did not necessarily deliver the way I wanted it to. I felt that they were definitely trying to go artsy with it. I mean, this idea here of this character, this Lord of Tears, this owl man, in theory is pretty cool. But the problem is, see those hands? That's how he has to stand all the time. So every time you see him, he's like this, and he's like, and everything's told through a voiceover with a voice that's a guy with like a sort of pseudo English accent, and I believe it's a Scottish film. But it's got some cool stuff going on. The locale they used is a old, large Scottish mansion, which is really cool. But again, films like this, like, you're going to have to lay heavy on your actors or rely heavy on your actors. And the main actor in this was, I hate to say this because I don't want to diss anyone's talent. Not like I've never done that before, but he just doesn't got the chops. So there's points where like he's supposed to be like hysterical and crying, and it comes off humorous, which is so tough to do so tough to accept in a film that has a very dark feel and a very dark tone to it, and is definitely going for like serious, heavy feel. And then he's like supposed to be crying, and you're kind of laughing at him because it seems so ridiculous. That is also available on Amazon Prime. I think it's worth checking out, though. I would probably give it a C minus. And in all likelihood, if I was to do a top 20 list or when I do the top 10 list for this year, um, will not show up, on the list there. I have not had a chance to dig into a whole lot because we spent so much time watching the Christmas stuff. Yeah, I gotta take a look. Beastie Boy story, which I know I talked about, but so I think we'll do a live broadcast for the top 10 of the year at some point over the next couple weeks. Got to get with, like I said, got to get with Chris, got to figure out exactly what his plan is moving forward. Our shows are still recorded on Mondays. I think the live show is going to probably, I think it'll either still happen on Wednesdays, but I think it'll probably happen a little bit earlier in the day. So the 2:00 time probably will be moving up, because I think he's going to be going to work at like 4:00 in the afternoon. And if we go at 2 and we run long, it's too tight a window for him to make. So if you guys have not, let me know in the chat room if any of you guys, actually would love to hear if any of you guys have listened to it yet. We put up not one but 2 episodes for the top 20 albums of the year. It was so long, it ran almost 6 hours. Both of those are currently up on the Patreon right now. So if you go to patreon.com/outsidethecinema, sign up for our Patreon if you're not already a member. You can immediately get those 2 episodes. You can take the RSS feed from there. You can dump it into whatever podcast player you use. You get the regular shows on Monday afternoons, and you get all the bonus content there. So like the music shows aren't going to go out to the main feed anymore, because Outside the Cinema, if I'm not mistaken, is now available on Spotify. And so Spotify, you don't want to be take any chances with any music or anything like that, even if you're trying to do promotion, because they have so many different algorithms. So let me just double check here. I know it's supposed to be on there. It might not be listed yet, but no, it's not there yet. But I'm sure it's in the pipeline from what I was told. So if you want the music shows, got to sign up for the Patreon, patreon.com/outsidethecinema. $5 a month gets you access to the show archives. It gets you access to the feed. $10 a month suggests some movies. I know we're still trying to catch up on some of that stuff. I apologize for it. But if you want, being January, you can pay for the full year up front, and you save 15%, I believe, off the total price for a year subscription to the Patreon. I recommend doing that. Save yourself some money. Obviously, I would like to have the extra little bit of cash coming in, but I'm really not too worried about it. If you want to dedicate yourself for a year up front, go for it. It's the best way to do it. Yeah, so the album show, very happy with the way it came out. Melissa and Bro got into it pretty good over Taylor Swift. I'm not going to tell you where that falls in the record list, but Mel was a huge fan of the Taylor Swift records, Folklore and Evermore, that came out this year. Bro was not, although I don't think he even listened to the second one, so it's kind of tough to. Bro likes to make those sweeping decisions. I listened to the music show live. Taylor Swift debate gets heated. It really does. I listened back to it myself. I actually really like. I don't listen back to a lot of the regular Outside the Cinema episodes, but I always like to listen back to the music ones. And I listened back to it, and yeah, like. Bro took some shots. Because Mel was very open-minded, especially when it comes to music. So like he kind of insinuated at a point that she was taken in by the hype or whatever, when like the argument that I made that I don't even think was able to cut through the anger that was coming through was that if Mel was such a mark for what Taylor Swift is, Taylor Swift's records would be on her list every year. And as long as I remember, I don't think Melissa's ever had a Taylor Swift record on her top 10 before. Yeah, it's pretty entertaining. So if you don't have the Patreon, get it, because I think it's worth it just to hear that, because it's pretty good, man. But yeah, I also want to mention the Burn Pile record that's coming out. It is coming out Friday, January 15th. It will be available everywhere: Spotify, Apple Music, Google Play, Deezer, Tidal. That'll be out, and I'm really happy with it. OK Doc, aka Smoke Actual 2020. Also smoke actual X 20XX. Also OK Doc. I know him as Gus, one of my good friends. Produced it, played some guitar on it, added some sequencing to it. The record is called, and I always get it wrong, even though I, for whatever reason, named it that. Impending Light and Shallow Shades of Gray by Burn Pile. It is 6 songs. It is available on January 15th. We have a video out for So This Is How It Ends. You can watch that on YouTube or over on Instagram TV. Super psyched with this record. Super happy with it. That is the album cover there. That's not. Whatever. So either way, check it out. I would love for you guys to listen to it. I'd love to hear some thoughts on it. It's an electronic record with some guitars and stuff. Post rock and synth wave kind of all melded into one thing. So I don't really have a whole lot else to say today. So if anyone's got any questions in the chat, I'll take them before I sign off for the day, and then we'll kind of figure out exactly what's going on. But yeah, looking forward to 2021. The Outside the Cinema 14th year begins in 4 weeks. In 4 weeks, OTC turns 14. We'll have our big anniversary show. We'll be digging into the stuff that we've featured in the past year. Looking forward to that. 14 years doing a podcast is a long time in the world of this. 14, yeah. I mean, I guess technically it's the end of the 13th year and it's the 14th season. So, yeah, we're trying to keep it going, man. You know, sometimes it's tough. It's tougher to get up and do the show now than it was before. But we're revisiting some Giallos in January. So Giallo January or Giallo-January so this week on the show, you'll see, Fifth Chord. And then we also did a film called The Premonition. Oh, good. My Pro Wrestling Tees order that I ordered shipped. Giallo Pudding Pops. My personal flavor is banana. Angry Townsman's been a guy that's been around for a long time, so he knows all about Chris's love affair with Giallos, which is not much of a love affair at this point. So Joe says, no surprise, though it's outstanding. I always recommend and consistently entertaining. Meaning Outside the Cinema, I'm assuming. I appreciate that, Joe. Thank you very much. Yeah, I have a really hard time doing these solo shows because I just I don't really know what to say. And a lot of times, even when Chris is on the show, I just talk. But when I talk to him, it is so much easier than looking into this camera and trying to talk to you guys, because he will directly respond to me. So, Angry Townsman says, OTC introduced me to Giallos. Thank you for that. I don't know. I would not have Tenebrae in my life otherwise. Yeah. No, Tenebrae is a great one. I think we're gonna revisit what have you done to Solange? And if you guys have Shudder has a whole bunch. They added a whole bunch midway through December. And there's some great titles in there. What Have You Done to Solange is one of them. Obviously, Strange Vice and His Ward is one of my favorites. Do we consider, is Torso a Giallo? Do we consider Torso a Giallo? I mean, yeah. Yes, and Torso's great. Torso's bizarre. But we're gonna take a look at some of that stuff again, and I'm pretty excited to kind of revisit it. Yeah, do you guys have any other suggestions too for stuff from 2020 I need to make sure I check out? Because it's a short list for me right now. And I don't really want to waste my time with too much junk. I say that, and then I'll watch 10 hours of junk. So, it is what it is. I don't know where Bark is. Bark's usually he's probably in the other room. Bark! He might be upstairs with my wife. He likes to sit on the bed in her office when she's in there working. So, yeah, I think that's all I got today, guys. Thank you for hanging out with us. Thank you for spending some time with us. Am I into docs? Dustin, Who you're talking to, man? Oh, did I mention Safer Spaces? You can watch Safer Spaces on Amazon Prime now too, which is good. We're real proud of Safer Spaces. So if you're into political stuff or punk rock or hardcore, Safer Spaces is there too. It's listed twice for some reason. So I don't know. But it's great. It runs 20 minutes. A Futile and Stupid Gesture on Netflix is great. You know, I feel like I started watching that. I feel like I started watching that a little while back. I mean, I'm into docs of all type. I mean, last year I had 2 of those HBO docs on my top 10 list, and The Vow will probably, I'm going to include The Vow, I think, which is the HBO doc on the Nexium cult. And yo, the Nexium cult. Jeez, if you guys have not followed along with any of this stuff, The Vow on HBO is, I think, 6 or 7 parts about the Nexium cult. And then there's another one on Stars about the Nexium cult, which is even harsher. It's like way more deep. Not such necessarily deep. The one on HBO is probably deeper, but the one on Stars gets into the nitty-gritty gross stuff. It is like, they're both very well made, and they're great watches, and they're superbly shot. They look great. Man, Class Action Park is actually one that should hit my top 10 list this year. Haven't started Heaven's Gate yet. Heaven's Gate is next on the list to hit for the HBO docs. We're currently watching one. I don't know if you guys have seen this one yet, but the one we're currently watching is Murder on Middle Beach, which it's 4 episodes. I think it's 4 1-hour episodes. And we just started watching that the other night. We want to get through this one first. I can't really read it. I'm sorry. Murder on Middle Beach is what that one's called. And it's about a kid whose mother was murdered when he was about 18 years old. They never found the killer. They looked at his dad. They looked at some other things, and he just wants to try to find out what happened to his mom. And he basically stumbles into all of this other stuff that is just like, you're like, what? Because it starts off essentially with the father on the phone with him being like, he doesn't want to talk about it, refuses to talk about it. But your mother wasn't the person that you thought she was, and she was involved in a lot of things that you don't really want to know about. So that is not a very good one. Which one are we talking? What Dustin? What are we talking about? Are we talking murder on Middle Beach? Because I'm into it so far. I'm only 2 episodes into it. We'll see where it goes. I'm into it. It's not the best shot thing. You can tell that he's a newer filmmaker. He's a young kid too. But I kind of like I like the rough around the edges feel that he has going with it. Maybe like I said, it's 4 episodes. I haven't finished it yet. I think we're gonna try to bang it out maybe the rest of it tonight, hopefully, and go from there. All right, so Dusty, I'm curious as to why you didn't particularly like Murder on Middle Beach. I'm into it so far. Like I said, I haven't finished it yet, and don't fucking ruin it for me either. But I mean, yeah, it's definitely a little rough around the edges. I think he's kind of not sure where it's going to go, but I feel like that's kind of part of the crux of the story is that he doesn't know where it's going to go, and the film that the documentary he's making, he is like kind of leading him as to where he's going to go with it. So far, I'm into it. Curious as to why Dustin didn't like it. That's okay. We all have our own opinions. I'm excited for Heaven's Gate, though. That's the next one we're going to start. Felt that it went in too many directions for him. Okay, that's fair. You and I, Dustin, will reconvene. Obviously, we're going to be on Dustin's show fairly soon. So we will reconvene when I finish it because I'm curious to get a little bit deeper. I find that happens a lot with documentaries now, too, is like, especially these ones that end up running into these series. There's too many things going on. The Nexium one on HBO kind of was like that too, where there was like so many things they brought in that they didn't get too deep into one particular thing. But the Stars one, which I got to look up here, and make sure I get the title right so I can make sure I can suggest it to you guys. Nexium Stars. It's called Seduced Inside the Nexium Cult. And I think that's actually the better of the two because they focus on really on one main facet of it. India Oxenberg, who is Catherine Oxenberg's daughter, was a member of it. But this Seduced on Stars tells her story with her as part of it. So if you watch The Vow, that ends with her being part of the doc, whereas Seduced, she's out of it and she's telling her story. So I think it's really good. It's definitely, yeah, Joe's right. You get sad. Yep, for sure. What about Death to 2020? Haven't watched it yet. Definitely on there. Yeah, cool. Cool. I keep saying I'm done. I'm done for the day. Right there. We're cutting it off. Keep in touch, guys. At OTC Industries, at Loved VFW. We'll be talking about VFW when we do the top 10 list. Yeah, thanks you guys for continuing to hang out with us. Keep an eye on Instagram at OTC Bill, at OTC Industries. Follow us on Facebook. There's a group. I keep burping. There's a group and a page on Facebook. Follow both of those. And yeah, hope everyone's new year is going to be awesome. And look forward to talking to you soon. All right.